It's a mystery as old as this forest. Cries in the night from a source unknown.
We've been able to compare this sound with the obvious animals that it might be.
Images captured on film.
It came out and looked me right in the eye from behind that bush.
Footprints and fingerprints unknown to scientists.
This is unlike anything I've ever examined before.
All this evidence points to a legend known as Sasquatch. Or does it?
We'll generate a DNA sequence that will identify the source of the hair somewhere on the tree of life.
Can these clues lead scientists to the definitive discovery of a new species?
This unusual combination of characteristics is going to give some important insights.
Or can this same evidence prove it is all a hoax?
That's when my jaw dropped, and I remember just saying, "That's not a man."
For the first time, real scientists, professionals, and forensic experts will put the Sasquatch mystery under the microscope in Legend Meets Science.
Hi, this is Jeff Setzer with Creation Family Ministries, and today we're going to talk about the subject called Bigfoot. Recently I was asked about what would be 3 sentences as to the purpose for this subject. Most of all, Revelation 4:11 says, "Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things." And so, whether we know about it or not, God has created it. First, it is a great springboard to the monkey man idea of the evolution side. Evolution says that humans are related to the ape kind. And there are even some who would be hunting this creature thinking that we can put it on the scope of man coming from the monkey, and that it's our relative, long lost, still roaming out there in the woods, which is not true. Secondly, not only is it a good and excellent bridge to that subject of human evolution, if you will, but also it is a great subject to broach concerning that people, scientists, don't know everything that's out there. You know, there are great examples of creatures that were thought to be extinct that have been found alive. And so creatures have a higher degree of intelligence, just the intelligence that God designed them with. But humans are not creatures of the woods. Oh, I like to go out in the woods from time to time, but as far as living off of the land, humans can do so for a certain period of time, but we're not designed to live in the woods, to live in the trees, to live underground. You know, there are creatures that are designed to do that, but human beings are not. We're designed to live, to build, to work, to associate with other human beings and such, and also, of course, to propagate the gospel according to Matthew chapter 28. But another point to make with Bigfoot is man does not know everything that's out there. There are things that, like one time someone sent me a link to an article online about a brand new, undiscovered, unknown, on the island of New Guinea, an extinct volcanic caldera. It was dubbed the Lost World. And a number of things that were unknown to science, totally unknown to science, species or new creatures, if you will. One was called a 3-foot-long woolly rat. Yeah, woolly rat. How would you like to have 3 feet long rats, woolly rats, infesting your house? This subject of Bigfoot is really an enigma. It's challenging. It is intriguing that something could be alive, yea, here in America, that is territorial, alleged to be territorial, rare, reclusive, even having ways to ward off intruders into its territory, scaring them away. And so generally, if things that are much bigger than humans are wanting you out of their territory, I'm game for leaving. But there are many intriguing encounters, and such is this one with Pastor Tim Whitener I just wanted to give a little introduction to the subject of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, and up to 60 or so different terms for this creature, depending on the actual location of the ape kind that walks upright. And of course, secular science has found, and they called it Gigantopithecus blacki, and various other names of that sort, but Gigantopithecus. Large, there's the great ape that exists. And let's just imagine with me how there could be a great ape that walks upright, that literally thousands of reported sightings. Could it be that a creature like this indeed exists in North America? So join me for an interview that is kind of scary from Pastor Tim Whitener. An intriguing subject called Bigfoot. Yes, Bigfoot. One of our favorite subjects to talk about. Also known as Sasquatch, Yeti, even Skookum. Another one is skunk ape from Florida. But anyway, while most people think it's a hoax, not everyone thinks so. In fact, there are some that we have come across personally who have seen this creature. And so one that has done so and told us, one is a pastor right here. Tim?
Yes, sir.
My brother, thank you for joining us for a little bit of a sharing of your experiences having seen a Bigfoot, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're a pastor.
Yes, sir.
So hopefully you don't believe in lying, do you?
No, unless it roars.
We believe God's word teaches we shouldn't lie. So,
Yes.
but anyway, folk we've met, including Brother Tim here, another pastor here in Hickory, which is rather unique for us to have met two pastors here in Hickory that both love the Lord and have seen this creature. One of your encounters, brother.
Probably the most memorable would have been the summer of '87. I was 15, almost 16 years old. And favorite pastime at that age, spent a lot of time in the woods, very, very little time in the house. Came home from work around midnight, used to work at McDonald's, worked the second shift. And a friend of mine had come over and decided, let's go camping. Sure. So we pick up sleeping bags, pillows, and we head for the woods. And this location, as much as I will say, it's in Alexander County here in North Carolina. Okay. So my back doorstep, more or less. And we walked probably eighth of a mile or so back up into the woods where I kept a little small two-man tent set up on a regular basis. And we were sitting in the tent, talking, winding down from the events of the day, coming in from work. And, you hear deer in the woods, possums, coons, you kind of get used to those sounds. But as we sitting there talking, we kept hearing something that wasn't quite normal. At first, being a teenager, you play it off, you gotta be all macho and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to over-talk what we're hearing. But as we're sitting there with our conversation, we hear these steps getting closer and closer and closer to the tent.
So they were steps of
It was
bipedal.
It was definitely bipedal. Our first thought was, okay, maybe somebody is in the woods with us, but the location we were wasn't very likely. Just the area that it's at, you'd have to know where we were to actually find us.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept talking, partially out of nervousness and partially out of trying to be macho for each other. Full moon, nice and bright, clear night. As we're sitting there talking, the footfalls get heavier and heavier and closer till finally it's right by the tent. By then, we're both wondering what in the world is going on.
Now, did you have the tent door open or something?
Tent door's wide open, screen open, door open, and we could see from the moonlight the shadow on the side of the tent. We're thinking, okay, what is going on? So it starts to real slow come around the side of the tent towards the door. My heart was pounding, eyeballs crossing. I'm thinking, okay, this thing's fixing to come in here with us. As we're sitting there, we're both watching the door, and it gets right to where the door's at and stops. We sit there 15, 20 seconds. We can hear the breathing, the atmosphere. Again, you have the adrenaline rushing, and it squats down by the door and just kind of squats there for a few minutes.
Is it off to the side or right?
Just outside of the edge of the door. And we just keep waiting and waiting, because we're just expecting this thing just to crawl right in with us. Well, it stands up, and we watch as it stands, and he puts his hand on top of the tent, and kind of mush the top of the tent. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to run. Well, where are you going to run?
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Because I've had other encounters, but not as close or as personal as that. To be that close and actually have physical contact with the tent, and have the whole gamut going on. And a lot of the folks think about, they hear the howls first and the tree knocks, but this was just quiet. Outside the breathing and the walking, there was no evidence that there was anything there to start with. So after it pushes up down on top of the tent 2 or 3 times, we watch the shadow against the tent. It turns and starts to walk off. And I start saying, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. I'm scared to death. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we just keep sitting there. We hear him take about 5 steps away from the tent, and we hear this cracking in the background. Next thing we know, tree comes crashing down. Well, that's all it took for us. No flashlight, no nothing. We jump out of the tent. We took off running through the woods. And this creature stayed just far enough behind us, coming, as we're running, it's behind us. As we're headed out of the woods towards an area to leave, it stays within 2 steps, all the way through, but never closer than 2 steps from us. Once we come out of the woods into a clearing, it never come out of the tree line, it stayed in the tree line. But then as we start to turn around and walk away, then you get the grunts. And if you've never heard the grunts, they're unmistakable. And they've been equated to kind of like a gorilla when they grunt. But we took that as being, okay, this is my territory, y'all need to stay out. So like I say, it was a long time after that before I went back into the woods, because it was so, I guess, that intimate a contact and that close, and knowing what it was. Like I say, I've had many other encounters, but that one there was probably the number one that said, okay, this is real. It's not a fairy tale. And you talk to some folks, they're like, well, how can you believe in something like that? That's just so stupid. You're just crazy. And I tell folks, I said, until you experience it for yourself, it'll always be a fairy tale. But once you experience it, there's no going back. Then the intrigue is there. You want to go and look and find. So I believe God put those creatures here for a reason. Whatever that reason is, I don't know. But if nothing else, he'll get your adrenaline bumping.
Well, we use it to point out that man doesn't know everything that's out there.
Amen.
Science doesn't know everything.